this morning, they finally gave us a print copy of the governor's executive order that's limiting gatherings to 10 or fewer people. So I brought that along so you guys could look at that if you would like. I've been kind of going with that guideline. You can keep it, I don't need it.
I had to take it next door.
Sorry, should have made 3 copies.
That's okay.
You want
Um,
copies?
I'll let me.
I got, you know, I got,
I'm
just
curious
got to
how
make sure
that
this
works
works.
for the open meeting law myself, but.
The schools that have called and asked opinions on how to have meetings with staff and all that, I've kind of held them to that 10 or fewer. They didn't like it, but they've managed. So, I've also been getting a lot of phone calls this week of people pointing out things that they're noticing around the community. One thing was people being very concerned that the senior centers are still open and gathering and doing all of their activities. So I don't know how many of them are gathering at a time. And I know it's something that they do all the time, but it really needs to be limited to 10 or fewer. And I don't know if they're following this 6-foot spacing guideline as well too. So that's something that I need to look into. And then I know quite a few of the restaurants have gone to takeout only. I know up until a few days ago, some of them were still seating people, and I don't really think that's a great idea. I think it would be better to go to takeout only, calling in your order and picking it up and going back home to eat. Just to,
I think they've all done it here in St. John.
okay, I don't know how they're doing it in Maxville and Stafford. I haven't been told.
About Joanne's.
I don't know if that's Joanne.
Said they kind of hard to
They're doing
Drive
drive-thru.
through.
Restaurant up here.
Mary's,
On the square. I mean,
Still open?
I ate breakfast in there this morning, there's 4
They're,
around.
they'll be the only one that
5 copies.
I think is still
Sorry
there.
about that. I should have
No, that's okay.
done
I
that this
know
morning.
that Pete's Place and downtown cafe is
Yeah.
carry out only on the
Okay.
windows.
I think that's there's one too scary.
I know they did this week. I don't know
Yep.
if the one on the square has gone to that yet or not.
I ate breakfast in there this morning.
I don't know
Okay.
about Mom's either.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, and yeah.
That Seward,
they're still open.
are they?
Last I knew they
They
were.
But
were
can
this
you
week.
tell
Last week, we went up there and
Do you have the authority to tell them they gotta do carry it on, or you just tell them that'd be the best
Does she
deal?
have the authority?
Well, that's, we're gonna, I was just gonna go through the statutes and just, I guess my first question that we kind of need to figure out, and I can give you the statute numbers if everyone wants to sit down and read, but, I mean, I assume you are the local health officer? I mean, that's established?
Yes.
And these
Okay.
guys are the local board of health.
Okay. I mean, yeah, because that's what the statute, I
Yes.
mean, I'm looking at 65-118, it talks about, you know, when you have this information, you're required to report it. It says, your duties, local health officer having knowledge of any infectious or contagious disease or of a death, which we don't, within the jurisdiction shall immediately exercise and maintain supervision over such cases or cases during the continuancy, seeing that all such cases are properly cared for and provisions of this act as isolation, restriction, and communication, quarantine, disinfection are duly enforced. So as far as restaurants, I think that's your,
Okay.
But when they say that we have deaths or the sickness, where you're the health officer for Stafford County, does that mean we need to have cases in Stafford County? Or just cases, because you're not the health officer of the state of Kansas?
I think it's a
Right.
threat of it.
He thinks it's
Says the county or joint board of health, which is all you, shall communicate without delay all information as to existing conditions to the Secretary of Health and Environment, KHE. The county or joint board is hereby empowered and authorized to prohibit public gatherings when necessary for the control of any and all infectious or contagious diseases. So I think you have the authority, and I think you three have the authority to tell her, you know.
Plus he declared the state of emergency, which would back it up.
Yep. So I think you do have that authority to go in and, you know. Now, that gets us down to, make sure I got the right book. Here's where you come into effect.
Unfortunately, you get to play, yeah.
48,939, penalties for violation. Knowingly and willingly violating this provision or any rules, regulations, shall constitute a Class A misdemeanor. But the problem, and I'm just gonna be upfront with everybody in the room, the problem is, I don't know that you can find a jail to take anybody. Sure as heck not for a misdemeanor. I mean, right now, Robin, bring me if I'm wrong, I know DUI, you arrest them and take them to jail at least until 4 hours to sober up before they're at a minimum released. If they can post bond, they're released, otherwise they stay.
We try to give you post bond, or do
Same.
wrong form. Or wrong
Thank you.
form.
Thank you, Andy, sorry about that.
And the other thing is domestic battery violence. And that's a mandatory
The
4
mandatory
hours
arrest.
that they go into jail to cool off, and then there's part of their bond, if they bond out, is no contact. Otherwise, I think you're gonna have a hard time taking mom and pop who runs the pizza place or the Mexican place over here, over to the Rice County or the Barton County Jail. I think you'll have a difficult time, but that is your ultimate hammer.
Yeah.
And maybe this was better for an executive session, but I mean, I guess,
I don't really foresee anybody throwing that big a fit about it. I mean, we're not shutting their business down. They're still able to
Right.
carry on. It's just not having the people in the building, in the establishment.
and I think it's your authority to, I mean, you know, I know some restaurants are, well, a week ago it was 50 people, and if we're down to 10, I mean, I think you can tell them, you can allow, I mean, it's your authority, but I think you can go in and say, you're only allowed to have 10 people, or I think you have the authority to say, you don't have anybody. This is strictly a drive-through till further
From
notice.
my standpoint, how I'm thinking about it is, yes, we don't have any confirmed positives in our county, but we have had people go get tested. All of them so far have come back negative, but we are in a place where we're bordering a county that has cases, and every day it's going up in their county. And it is a county that other people from here travel to go see doctors, to go get groceries, to go shop for other things. I mean, from my standpoint, I'm just trying to do the social distancing strict enough here that we're keeping our county safe, that we're keeping our population safe. Because we do have a large population of elderly people here. And
You know the numbers better than I do, but I think they're doubling and quadrupling on a daily basis.
yes,
So,
Or you know, have more than two.
but they have 2 confirmed, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, just like here, they've probably tested quite a few that they're waiting for.
Lucy took care of themselves pretty well. Which was good.
So,
so I believe you have the authority.
Yeah.
and I mean, it's a temporary thing. It's not like we're telling them you can't do business. It's just a time frame to make sure that everybody's still doing the social distancing in an appropriate way. where they're keeping themselves safe and keeping others safe, because it's not just about yourself right now, it's about everybody. So, I would like to ask restaurants to go to takeout or drive-through. They can still do business, but not have people seated inside, just to keep everybody safe at this point. Because I feel like we've done a good job of keeping everybody safe so far with everybody following directions. So just because it is spreading through the state still, it's increasing daily.
I would agree with that. The only thing, from your health point of view, how much safer is it for those people to prepare your food?
I don't
Put it in a
know.
plastic container, hand it to you.
I know.
Chance you take.
As long as
From what I understand, the virus is good on cardboard.
Hopefully they're taking care of the
3 hours. And other,
Other
like
surfaces
plastic
are
and
longer.
stuff like that, it will live.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what they're putting their food into,
Yeah.
and
So-
closing it up. Not in the food, but in the container.
Yep. I don't know when you cook if the heat kills, but like you said, the styrofoam pack there, whatever comes in, what you call it, but yeah.
Get the food out of there and throw the pack away quickly.
Wash your hands.
Yeah.
What surprised me that it was stainless steel that lives on
Really
The
long
longest. Mhm.
What are hospitals? The majority
Yeah.
Stainless steel.
is stainless steel.
These 30s are your white
Well,
down.
And
Mhm.
but when you go to the grocery store and then you buy a pound of hamburger,
Yeah.
it's in plastic and styrofoam.
Sure.
Mhm.
And how long does it take you to get the plastic off of it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So,
But you notice that Wichita did the 30-day thing as of last midnight, but they had like 3 pages of exemptions.
Mhm.
You know, plumbers, electricians.
It's because of all of these people that are considered vital and essential.
Yeah.
That's a resolution.
I will tell you, they got the same thing in Johnson County where
Well,
no non-essential travelers stay at home.
She can-
Shannon and I and Phil Hurd
Restaurants.
had a
He can.
so we'll have to do it.
telephone conference and the guy from Johnson
I
County
don't
came
have
on
to
and
do it
said,
now. I don't have any wording.
we ain't gonna enforce it. You can't enforce it. You're not gonna pick up somebody
With a
driving
mask.
down
No.
I-35 and say,
I
why are
think
you
she can
driving?
do it now.
All they gotta do is tell you they're going to the grocery store.
Do we need a motion?
I mean, he just came over and said, we're not gonna enforce
And
it.
then we'll do a resolution next week.
You
to
hope
cover
that
everything.
99.9% of the people will listen to you and
Exactly,
Okay.
that's, I mean, I'm having to hope that everybody is following directions and being responsible, because there's not a surefire, great way to enforce any of this, but I'm just hoping that people are understanding that this really is serious. It's not something to joke around about, it's a big deal, and we're trying to flatten the curve, and we've been doing a really good job so far here, and I just want to make sure that we're maintaining that, especially because, like I said, daily the number increases of positives. They're not testing as many people anymore as they were last week, and there might be people that are positives that have been told to stay at home, and we have to hope that they're going to follow that direction.
That's a big hope.
Mhm. It is a big hope.
And we have laws and people violate them on a daily basis.
Exactly.
So,
Because they can.
you know, you can tell people, but
I know.
they go with it.
Yep.
If they test positive, you can't force them to be quarantined.
If they test positive and they go home and they don't stay at home, I don't know, I feel like it could be enforceable.
yeah.
But again, you're not gonna take it to a jail.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
what are you
How
gonna do? You
what are
okay,
you
you're
gonna
gonna go out and
Take a
say,
Ankle
You
bracelet.
you take it
I'm
to
gonna
jail
arrest,
and just
but
breathe,
they
just
violate
breathe
the
in the house
ankle
for
bracelet.
everybody.
Exactly,
I mean,
it's
that's
just
the
gonna
worst
spread.
thing
the-
about
it.
Exactly.
It's not a
wish they
extension,
know
in one
where
case of the flu, and it goes through everybody.
At least you know where they've been. I'd put an ankle bracelet on.
well, we only have.
Or at least ask them if they would.
We have 5, I was gonna say, I think we have 5.
I would put it on them, and I'd ask them if, I wouldn't think anybody would object to that. But maybe they
Well-
would, who knows?
All we can do is arrest them,
You wouldn't have thought that.
and then if the judge wants to make it, the judge would have to make a condition of their bond, they wear the ankle bracelet.
The only deal is if you do have someone who do quarantine, we arrest them, we're self-quarantined, we're out of the crowd.
That-
And I only have the
Exactly.
5 of us, yeah, and that's, we're gone quarantine for 14 days also.
I believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
Where do you
it's,
go?
yeah, I know.
To the
At some
recommendation.
point,
Y'all don't
Those
want
two
that.
people pretty much did an excellent job. They got on
If you're out,
Facebook,
I take over.
reassured everybody. I mean,
Right?
that was
Yes.
nice. We need
That's
more
right.
information like that.
that's the,
And did you see that they
You
did
would
start
have to.
putting the amount of negative tests
They would
on the
kill.
one yesterday?
I did a lot more squealing after we were together, and enough
And they
representative.
also added demographics to it that they didn't have before too, so.
I talked to a number of representatives and senators, and there was quite a few phone calls in to them. There for a while, they would only put positive cases.
Mhm.
Now, why wouldn't you want to tell the public how many tests you run? When we asked them that question at the teleconference, they said, well, we don't have the capacity to do that. Yeah, right. You know how many tests you run. So yesterday, they put the total number. Right now, it's about 5% of the total people tested that have had.
Mhm.
That's good information for the public to know.
and the fatality rate, I think, is running, what, about 1.4 in the United States. Now, worldwide, I think it's more like 4 or 5%. So really, if you look at it that way, we've got a better handle on it than the rest of the,
Yes, and we need to have a better handle on it because, especially in where we live, in a rural community, if anybody does get sick to the point that they need a ventilator, by the time that we get them someplace, there might not be one for them. That's the whole point of doing everything that we've been doing, is to try and keep people as safe as we can, because we have 3 options for hospitals that are really close by, and they don't have a ton of ventilators and a ton of ICU rooms, and the bigger places are going to be running at capacity because they have more there than what we have here.
that was a question I was gonna ask. Have you had, and I assume you have, but I don't know, that's why I'm asking, contact with Fritz Farmer, Dr. Farmer, or the doctor, I'm sorry, his name escapes me. Carter. I mean, have you talked to them? Are we prepared?
I haven't
Is
talked
the
to
hospital
Carter,
got-
I've been talking to the DON and the hospital staff, and I've been talking to Dr.
Okay.
Farmer, but
Okay, well, as long as, I mean, it seems pretty common sensical, but,
We're gonna have an item in business that we're gonna, only one of us can go to that meeting because of the open meeting law.
sure,
But we have a group that is gonna meet together.
okay.
And
I just was curious.
to
Dr.
make sure
Carter.
that we're all on the same page.
Exactly, but we're prepared for,
Yeah, Dr. Carter did call me yesterday, about 30, 45 minutes. This is pretty much what he covered. He did say they have one ventilator at Stafford. That's not really what it's meant to be used for, but they could use it. And if you go to the Stafford Hospital and are positive, they're gonna stabilize you and get you somewhere else.
what, can you give me or them an update as far as, at the last meeting, there was somebody that had self-quarantined themselves in Pawnee County, but
So they
continued to
were
want to.
negative. They were a negative test, so that one is taken care of. She was told she has some other respiratory something going on. She was told by me that she needed to stay at home until she was over all of her symptoms and didn't have a fever for 24 hours without meds. And then after that, she could go back to work, and her family was also released from quarantine as well because they were asymptomatic. That's what the people that have been tested have to remain at home until their test results come back. If it's positive, then they will remain in quarantine and monitor their symptoms and let their primary care know if they're not able to maintain at home, okay? If it's negative, then when their symptoms have subsided and they don't have a fever anymore, they're allowed to leave their house.
And is it my understanding that a majority of people may not even have symptoms and even know they have it?
Yes, and that's the
They're
whole
out
point
spreading it
of
to other
social
people.
distancing, and that's why I'm wanting to have restaurants go to just take out or drive through.
It all makes
Because
sense to me.
that is a 100% accurate thing. People can be walking around and their immune system is taking care of it and they are contagious. And they have it and they don't know. And that's part of why they're asking people to self-quarantine at home when they come home from travel, especially to certain areas that are widespread communicability, because they could potentially have it and the symptoms sometimes don't show up for 2 to 14 days. So that's why they have the recommended 14-day quarantine.
All sounds very reasonable to me.
And I think the more we get that information out to the public, that's why I thought KDHE was just wrong to not put that information on there.
Yeah, you may feel fine, but stay home,
Put as
stay,
much on there as you know.
yeah.
I mean, the more, I know people have a tendency to want to go out and do things, and I know that's in everybody's nature, but right now it's best if people just stay at home unless they absolutely have to go out and do things. Even here where we don't have a confirmed case, it doesn't matter. We should be treating it as if there is a confirmed case and trying to keep everybody as safe as possible. Stay home unless you've got to go to the grocery store. If you do, go get what you need and go back home. Make sure that you're doing hand hygiene and
Well, I think you can go outside.
You can
It's not
go
like
outside.
You have to be
And that's what I recommend.
confined to your
No,
bedroom.
and even the people that are in quarantine at home, they can go outside in their backyard. They can go outside on their front porch. They don't have to stay trapped in their house. Going outside is a good thing. Fresh air and sunshine is good. But you don't want to go out and go to a place that is very public and spread whatever germs you've got.
Yep.
It's all right to even drive if you don't talk to anybody.
Exactly.
and
If
you
you are
stay
in
your
your own
vehicle.
car and you don't have anybody with you, that's fine.
Nothing
But
can happen then.
no.
I talked to my dad this morning, they're driving to Lake Wilson, they're gonna drive around Lake Wilson. look
Yes,
around,
and that's
then drive
fine.
home. That's, they just wanted an outing to get outside.
Exactly. And that is just fine. But
Go fishing.
the gathering as a group right
Get
now
outside.
is just not a great idea. So,
I still, about this testing for coronavirus. The guidelines says you test for A and B and upper respiratory first.
that's if you're sending it to KDHE. They want those ruled out first as negatives to rule out any type of respiratory illness before they get the panel for COVID. But they've also updated that within this week, and they're only testing people that are healthcare workers that have symptoms, people that are in the hospital and have no other avenue of respiratory illness, anybody that's in ICU on a ventilator. So basically, it's being reserved for hospital and healthcare workers to be sent to KDHE. They're not doing anybody else's tests. But there are several reference labs that can run these now, so anybody can send one to a
So
reference lab.
AMS can do them now.
AMS
No?
can't do it.
No.
It's Quest and, what was the one that Pratt said that they used? Stafford is using Quest. I'm blanking.
Something like
LabCorp,
There
thank you. Yes, LabCorp is who Pratt is using, but AMS is not
They're not.
doing it. So, and part of that too is reference labs are taking longer than KDHE is taking to run the tests. We've run into, KDHE was getting them back within a day, but now it's taking 2 or 3. The reference labs were taking 2 to 4, and we're going on day 5 or 6 for some, waiting for results to come back. And it's just because of the amount of tests that they're getting. It's bogging them down and slowing things down. So, I think that's part of why KDHE made the ruling that they did, because they were getting overwhelmed with how many tests that they were getting in a day and having trouble keeping up. And they are running 2 batches a day to try and keep it going, but
Do they have any of the self swabs yet in Kansas?
Some deal on TV, it looks like they stick that a long ways up your.
it goes
They're painful.
clear
in
to
terms
the back
of-
of your sinus.
When they get to the top, then they make a right turn. you see.
Yeah.
to the top and then a right turn.
Yeah, I'd get in the car and drive up to a swab area, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yes, we've gotten lots of phone calls about, do we have positive, because it's rumors going around. We do not have positive currently. There are pending tests, but no positives yet, and we will let people know if we get a positive, and there will be a press release from KDHE if there's a positive, and a new positive in the county always gets a press release, so it will be sent out to the public if that happens.
How will you do that here?
Well, I probably send it to Miss Lita.
I mean, the paper's a weekly paper.
I know.
We put it out on Facebook, we put it on our webpage. I don't know what else to do around here.
KDHE would be notified.
KDHE would notify us.
But if it doesn't happen at a certain time and we miss the newspaper deadline, it'll be in two, see, that's the.
That's what I was wondering
Yes.
about.
Newspapers are almost
I guess,
irrelevant.
I guess you could call Channel
It
12.
really is. I would let Sandyland know so they could put it out, and, I mean, we don't do so much around here.
That's why I was just asking how the normal,
And it's always updated on KDHE's website too. Daily, they update that, and they are listing every county that has cases and how many cases they have.
what about Ford County? I mean, that,
So CDC had a guideline out whenever this all started in the United States. The person from Ford County was from Oregon, so
Yeah.
it goes to their count. But they have started putting that on
it goes towards Oregon's.
it goes towards their count, but they have it listed on our counts as well. But it's down at the bottom in a gray spot that says, these two are positive tests in Kansas, but we can't count them because they're from
That
other
makes
states.
no sense to me.
There was one in Fort
No,
County and one in
yes.
Miami.
Miami,
I was
right?
gonna say Lynn, but. yeah,
Miami.
Yeah,
And they were from.
You can bet Oregon isn't putting that on theirs.
so,
They have asterisk after their county.
yeah,
That's insane to me.
yes.
They didn't live in Fort County.
So how many cases?
But
They
they're
were
in
there.
Ford County.
They were there, yeah.
Yesterday, I think it was 98
90.
positives.
Johnson County and Wyandotte County have the most.
Yes,
Over 2,000 tested though.
yes.
But, okay, you said there's 98.
That was as of yesterday afternoon.
And if what did we say, 1.4 fatality? But we've already, that I know of, at least had two
Two.
deaths.
Mhm.
So of 98 people, that's
2%.
pretty close to your 1.4, 2%.
Yeah.
But any death,
How many of the 1 point so many percent were in the rest home? Or close? They had a 103-year-old lady in India recover from it.
the one that just is totally mind-boggling to me is the spring break kids. They go off to Florida and Texas, and it's just a mob of people, and I'm like, you're college educated, you should know better.
Well, when you're
They're
there,
indestructible.
you're
Yeah.
Worried
Tell us
about
about our
something
future.
you aren't gonna
They're
get sick.
indestructible, they think.
I'm invincible.
Bulletproof.
Not gonna happen to me.
A lot of the governors did shut the beaches down though.
But, you know, all those kids are gonna come
After
back to
spring
whatever
break.
colleges they
That's
came
what they
from
did.
and infect everybody else.
Or go home and see their family.
Mhm.
If they can't handle it.
Yeah.
Do you think they need to make a motion to allow her to talk to the restaurants?
I would just, I think you have the authority, but I think it would still probably behoove everybody and maybe next week do some type of a resolution. I'd just cover our bases 100%. I can't imagine there's any liability issues. I can't imagine a restaurant trying to sue, but it might not hurt just to cover everything.
Do we do that as a county commission or as a county health department?
I'd say health department.
So do we have to adjourn and then reconvene as a county health?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think we have the authority.
The statute,
there.
the statute, I think, gives you the authority.
I don't think I would publicize that, just ask them to do it.
Okay. And then see.
Don't,
Well,
where it goes
I
from
guess
there.
the other thought is ask them, and if they balk,
then,
Then.
Next
we
Wednesday,
can meet
we
as a
can-
local board of health and.
or even before.
I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like the majority of them are already doing it, so I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, so we can go that route. And if somebody has
Maybe
a
we should
problem
go
with
ahead and
it.
draw something up
and I
for
don't,
next week.
the resolution,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know about Maxville. I'm not- I mean,
Reminds me of one.
I know Joanne.
The other one is just carry out, I mean, they talk about a drive-through window is what they've been saying, but they don't have that much business anyway, but I think Mary's is, well, there's still cars parked around
It
there.
probably
at
is, I mean,
times,
it's the
so.
gathering spot for Maxville
Yeah.
besides Dab.
How many people do they use in there?
Depends on the day. It's fried chicken day, a lot of people go.
Okay.
Well, I know the dam project
That's my
in
knowledge.
Stafford has taped off their booths,
Mhm.
and they did that last week.
Shortstop
All the
Yeah,
Kansas
they
Co-op
will.
did,
Then
yep.
So,
And they shut off totally the sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if Mary's, like you say, lunchtime, it's packed, they're here. So a lot of times trying to find places to sit.
Let's ask him. I think we have the authority, we definitely have the authority to ask him right there.
Yeah, I think you know.
okay. And if any of them did agree, next week, we can, you can meet as a local board of health, or we could do it, or, I mean, before.
Well,
That's like,
or you can call me, or you can call Rob,
There was 5 or 6
True.
cars parked around
you know.
there.
Rob can say, this is, you know,
They have kind of sent out to HIPAA guidelines in an emergency, and we are allowed to let law enforcement know who certain people are too, so that
it is in the
we can
statute,
have
you
people
can,
backing us up to
We
you can
enforce
provide
things.
him names and
We do have
addresses.
positives and stuff in the self-quarantine ones that we need to know so we can,
Right.
hey, you need to get
Yes,
back home.
Yeah,
yes.
I would not publicize,
No,
but I
I
think
don't plan to, but
you have the authority to
They
tell
know
Rob, you
Because, yeah.
know, Mary Jane Smith at such and such address.
Yes, because I mean, right now, just with the people that have traveled, that I've got staying at home, it's gonna be just a bit much for me to try and keep track of everybody, so.
Well, right now, who would travel? Who in their right mind would
You
leave?
would be surprised.
And there's still a lot of people doing that.
There are a lot of people still doing it.
A lot
There
of
are a
people,
few
with
col-
people who have kids can't have anybody to watch them because school shut down. They're sending them off to whoever. and,
That's not
you know.
something either.
They have asked the daycares to stay open.
We don't have enough daycares for all
No,
the
our
schools.
county does not have an abundance of daycares.
So
People
they go
have
stay with
trouble.
grandma and grandpa's what happens.
Mhm.
The colleges.
Where they shouldn't be.
No.
The colleges that sent the kids home on spring break and said we're extending it for a week, and now they're calling them saying it's canceled, come clean out your dorm rooms.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you only got about 10 minutes to clean out your room.
They're supposed to be
They're
letting them in
scheduled
in
cleanups.
At
groups.
some point, Tanner's got to drive back to Grandview Junction, Colorado, and clean out his dorm.
Oh.
Yeah, Cole
Is there
Kinman
anything
had
in
to
there
drive
you
down
have
some-
to-
I was gonna say, is there anything you need?
That goes
Seriously?
through hotspots.
that goes through a hotspot.
If there's
Yeah.
nothing he absolutely needed,
Forget it.
Get donated to Goodwill.
I can
I'm
buy blue
serious.
jeans and t-shirts at the,
Yeah.
Kinman's had to go to Claremore, Oklahoma, and they would only allow 2 of them in for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
Well, mine's a crap because we've got $3,000 worth of tools that we're not sure going to give
oh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Something like that.
I understand that,
If
but
it, especially going where this.
Yeah, you got a hotspot.
Yeah. That's basically all the update I have. So, anybody have anything else?
I don't.
Now, they do
Good
say
job,
in
man.
here, Shannon, about from the state guidelines, that restaurants and bars, only the requirement listed will follow the social distancing of 6 feet between tables, booths, and bar stools.
I saw that too, but it's just like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
How are you understaffed?
We're okay. We've been checking people at the door and not letting people in that have a fever or a travel history. If they do, they need to go home.
Did you get the third person to help you?
I have had somebody come in and answer the phone on one of our days that we had a lot of things scheduled. We did cancel another clinic day because it involved a lot of elderly people coming in, so we told them that we would reschedule for another time and let them know when. But as of right now, it's been fine. We're just having people come in by appointment only. We have them call and make an appointment before they just drop in to limit the amount of people that are in at one time. That way we can clean in between people too. So, and it's been working fine that way.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What do we do if we have to be dropped down to essential employees only? Like some of the other counties have went to, and they have to have don't they have to have an ID or a badge or something, or?
We
Just-
all have that.
We all,
No, I mean okay.
I think we already.
I mean, what they're saying is
We aren't letting
essential.
anybody in the courthouse unless they have a county badge.
No, what it is for the employees, a lot of them are, there's some counties that went to essential employees only. To where what it would be is your staff is down to nobody except for whoever has to be there.
That would be up to each department to determine who was essential, I would guess.
But I guess I'm asking, how are we, I mean, because it's happening.
Wait, are you
And
concerned that somebody who's not essential keeps showing up for work?
No, what I'm asking is, are we ready to handle that part of it? If we have to drop to just essential, like would it just be me, you, and everybody else has to go
A
home?
lot of counties are rotating employees, the counties with, like the clerk's offices, what I know about. The clerk's office that have a lot of staff are rotating them.
Mhm.
And in my case, we would both still show up.
I would say that'd be a department.
Because we
head.
have to keep
Choice.
continuing to do county business.
Well, like,
I'm just thinking, you
somebody-
guys have already locked your doors and
Yeah.
haven't been letting people in, so I feel like everybody could still be showing up for work.
Yeah.
Well, it's my understanding, like your car tags, they give you,
They get
for
it.
your drive,
That's
renewing your
extension,
license.
yes,
They've
yes.
extended that out, so, I mean, you could move down to
Sixty day extension
I think it's
on
60
license
days.
If they weren't told
and car,
employees gone.
car registrations.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you decide who's non-essential in a county setting, because
well,
if they were non-essential, why are they on your payroll?
but
I mean,
it's
seriously.
my understanding, the Martin County Commission didn't meet this week.
No, they did not.
Well, half of them were coming out the rest of them.
And the one thing that we keep
Three of
being
them don't
told
have
is you have to
driver's
keep
license, yeah.
having your meetings, they have to be,
That's
keep
not
being
good.
open meetings.
They have to get somebody driving.
Because I'm not
get somebody to
about
pick them up and
going
drive
every
them.
other week for these guys, and
I
I'm
just-
told, no, you need to keep meeting weekly.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
take precautions.
That's the truth.
So, I don't know what Barton
Alicia
County.
told me that
If,
too.
if nothing
I
else.
don't know.
Hard to believe when it was-
Exactly.
Them
You
and
gotta-
Alicia
you
left,
gotta
there was only
continue
one
as
that could
normal as you
drive.
possibly
And that's not saying to be crazy, it's just be,
can. Cautious and careful and,
keep operating.
yeah, the county has to keep operating.
It's part of
I mean, you have to continue turning the values out and making changes and,
Well,
you know, it just has to keep going.
you know, my comment the other day, because we sent tax letters out. And the next step after is to get the title work done. Well, if second floor is not open to do the title research,
That's gonna have to stop.
you know, that's gonna slow the process down. I mean, we can still do it, I'm just saying, you know, the other day we said, no, you know, you can still file your deeds, but as far as doing research for title work,
And so far, it's working pretty good. I mean, we've had a few hiccups along the way, but, I mean, we haven't got anybody really mad at us. Everybody's been really understanding, they
I
ring the
wondered how
bell.
that worked.
Huh?
I wondered how that was working.
I asked Luann and Mary yesterday, and they said it's working fine. They haven't, because they're the two that the public really goes to. and they don't have any issues, haven't had any
Well,
complaints, so.
You know, last week at our meeting, we talked and I said, yeah, the courts are open, it's business as usual. And literally 3 hours later, I got a phone call that said the court,
Yeah.
because it's evolving on a,
It was just,
instead of a day by day, it's almost an hour by hour.
it was so fast last week. It was just
You know,
crazy.
I don't know what they're doing as far as people wanting to pay their fines. I guess they call in and put it on
They
a
call or
credit
they
card.
come to the door, and then we go up and get third floor, and they come down and help them. And we have a sheet at the door that if I help somebody, you write your name and who you helped, and, I mean, it's working fine so far.
I'm not sure I want to touch money at this point.
Well, we have sanitizer down there, we have Lysol down there, we have wipes.
Yeah, I saw the
So,
table with
I
the,
mean, we're trying,
Yeah.
so.
You have a box of wine, you can step
Oh,
in.
good idea.
roll around in when you go home at night.
But like I said, the end of the month is coming up for the tags. I'm not sure what the letter is, but the wheels may fall off then with the treasurer's department, the tags. I don't know how many people will do it online around here. But we'll just handle it and it'll go on. It'll be fine.
Can you imagine the backlog of this thing lasts?
Oh, the court system will
The
be,
courts, yeah.
will be so
Yeah.
backlogged, so jammed up.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
We were trying to clear it up, and last week, remember, we had those 3 pages on that motion day on Monday? And that was just trying to catch up, and now it's, everything else, it's gonna be,
Mhm.
and we were backlogged in.
Yeah, it's
Getting the busy time of the year anyway, that's just.
It's gonna be, my personal opinion, this will end, but the recovery period, I mean, let's just say
That's
this
gonna
thing
be-
takes 60 days, the recovery period is gonna
The
be
cure might be worse.
6 months. And that's, I'm not just talking about the court system, I'm talking about our economy,
Yep,
everything.
Yeah.
at least they're starting to look at that, though.
Okay.
Thank you very much, good job.
Thanks.
Carl?
No. I'm a gatekeeper.
You guys an update here? This is, I think two of you guys might have came in the office last week and when I first got the memo. What this is the property valuation department actually amended the crude oil price. You know how they said it? And so these here are kind of in order. The top one will show you back in January 1st of 2020 what the crude oil prices were set for, and that's what we thought we was going to have for the entire year of 2020. If you notice on the 40 gravity and above was $46, and then it adjusts all the way down. If you go to the next page, that's the amended 2020 crude oil prices. You don't have to do a lot of calculations. If you just look at the top one, what they do is they cut it in half. And this is for 2020.
So this is supposed to be your average for the year?
Yes, sir.
So oil prices are down 3 weeks, and so they cut the whole price for the year?
Yes, sir. And if it comes back,
They probably won't do
it
that.
still will be
Okay.
$23.
Yeah.
This will be at $23 now, no matter if oil would get to $60 a barrel in September. Manatron has received the prices. We're recosted now. So, anyway. Okay, so on the next page, I think I showed this to you guys too. They're stapled together. This had that chart. This is probably going to be the easiest way and quickest way to let you guys see what this will do. In 2019, our oil and gas valuation, and I'm looking what's highlighted, was $12,643,925, which on the chart is about 14.18% of our revenue comes from the oil and gas. So as you've seen the two pages prior, you're going to cut this in half pretty well. So what this is going to do pertaining what happens with public utilities, and I don't think Nita can find out, I don't even think they give an estimate of what public utilities does until the end of July
Mhm.
or something or another.
July 30th.
Actually, public utilities would be the one thing that could bail us out, if that would increase for 2020. Because your ag use value is not going to bail us out, because some of the values went down, and your residential didn't see an increase. So, wanted to give you guys a heads up. On the last 2 pages, we'll kind of let you know, and I don't know if you guys know anybody in North Putnam Township, Byron Township, or North Sewer, or even Hayes Township. If you go to the second page on this here, this is my estimates, that we're gonna lose probably around $6,321,000 in total value in the oil. So we're gonna lose right at $1.8 million in assessed values. That will be gone. We already know this is gonna happen. So like, you know, what's really tough about this is Rose Valley, you know, they just have a 6x6. I mean, their area is small, and you can see over there, they have right at 830,000 valuation in that township. That township's gonna be cut in half, and they don't have a lot of valuation. Putnam, you can add those values up. Byron, that doesn't have a lot of valuation because of a lot of situations. North Sewer, you know, I don't know what those townships are gonna do. I mean, I really don't. You know, the county is at least large enough, but those townships, I don't know if you guys want to give them a heads up and then 4 townships or 5 townships, but it's not gonna be good for their 2020 budget. So, I felt like you guys needed to know this. It's gonna affect a lot of things. So, but that much value will be lost. We're probably gonna actually lose, let's just say the price goes up and you wanna project this out, you're gonna, if you have an oil and Bryson, he can, they're not gonna produce that oil like they have in the past. They're gonna slow them down or shut them in. You're not gonna sell your oil at $20 a barrel.
Absolutely. There's a lot of Stafford County producers that I've already talked to that are 5 barrels a day and under. They're filling up the tanks and shutting the wells off.
So next year's not gonna be good. Even if the price would go up, our production, then it's gonna be the production and the declines. Then everybody's gonna get at least a 30 to maybe 50% decline. So this isn't gonna be a 1 year.
No.
This will be at least, for fact, 2 years. That this oil valuation will probably drop around a 7% for our county. So.
So where you said we were gonna lose $1.8 million in assessed value, what does that come down to, money that's coming out of our budget?
Well, I didn't figure it on your mill levy, so I don't.
I mean, how much are we, I mean, we're not talking about cutting $1.8 million out of our
No.
money,
It's
we're
just
just
a bad-
wondering how much.
The valuation.
What
Your
we're gonna have to
valuation's
do.
gonna be lowered by 1.8, thus your levy will have to go up in order to keep the same level, but we can't go up now.
Make your ag land go up.
Because I'm just gonna assume, because I'm not in, you do have a sheriff here, but I'm assuming the sheriff's not gonna be able to cut his budget 8%, and Road and Bridge probably won't cut their budget 8%. Our budget's at the courthouse, you guys know those are pennies on the dollar compared to the total overall.
But it's kind of hard when you say, you know, county budgets can't be cut 8%, but the oil guys that are getting killed with low oil prices and the farmers that are getting killed with low grain prices go, well, you guys are gonna have to pay 8% because we can't take any more cuts.
And that's gonna be you guys' decision,
Yeah,
but I wanted to give you a heads up so that can all start going through your head.
you know, there's always the deal, you always heard about them spreading the pain, it might have to just hurt a little bit for everybody.
So. So there you go, there's some good news. for
So
today.
I'm
I
wondering,
didn't, I knew before that was coming.
You were in there,
so I'm wondering what Ellis County's gonna talk about now.
yeah.
Because their ag values, now their oil values, you know, they were in hopes that the sales tax would offset. But now with the coronavirus, you know, revenue's down as far as the retail stores, so their sales tax is gonna be less.
Well, see, now I don't
So-
think that sales tax will pass now. Because isn't the election in to do that? They haven't had their election yet.
No, but they were in hopes that the sales tax would take
Who
up
would,
some.
who would vote yes on a sales tax right
I
now?
think that'd be hard to get past. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that don't even happen. I mean, would you turn it around, would you vote for a higher sales tax in
Sure.
Stafford County? Okay, at least that's on the record.
Property tax, everything, let it go up.
But all these townships, they're basically gonna be looking at taking around a 7% cut in what they're getting.
Actually, percent-wise valuation is probably gonna be more.
Probably be half.
Because I don't know what their total valuation is from Putnam Township.
I guess we're looking more at the county and it's more.
I was looking at the entire
It may have
county.
more, some of these townships may have 20% coming from oil. Or
You're right.
30%.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
Those are the ones that are gonna get hurt the most.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know, because they don't know all this happened. If you guys talk to them very often, but
We haven't, but we ought to.
I hate to have them 5 townships just out of the blue. They come in and work on budgets with Nita, and Nita's a,
Oh, I did a budget.
but don't they come in and work with you?
No, they have an outside guy come in, or they have an auditor
Oh,
that
I
does it.
thought they did.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I don't touch those budgets,
We just look at it.
not at all.
Okay.
Nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
No, they just have to,
But they ought to be told.
That's why I was here.
I think-
That's all I
imagine-
have.
I imagine some of them are thought about that, but you're right, most of them probably won't.
Well, this has, according to Roger, this hasn't, he's never had to deal with this since he's been up there. They've never done this. Since I've been here in '87, they've never done it. This is the first year they've done it. So, that's all I have, gentlemen.
Okay.
Todd, you got something else?
I was just looking at this pie chart. So I mean, this is basically gonna affect everybody as far as the schools and
Sure.
townships, cities.
not so much the cities, cities don't have a lot of oil value, but, anybody that has oil value.
Yeah,
Really effective for Max, for school,
Yeah,
they're a little bit
yeah,
higher.
Maxwell School will be hit hard.
And you know what it would fix, just stay out of an instance, you know, you guys, we could use South Ohio, I mean Ohio Township. South part of St. John could be affected. If the county mill levy goes up and the township mill levy goes up, it will raise the mill levy in for the taxpayers in the city of St. John. So. Good luck. Like I said, maybe public utilities will bail us out, we don't have to worry about it.
We just
what's the
have to-
chances of that happening?
Not very good. Because like that new pipeline that's going through, they're exempt for 10 years.
Yeah, so I mean, our public utilities are
You
basically
can't count them.
existing pipelines and then like power poles.
It's power, gas,
Railroad.
gas lines, the railroads, oil lines, phone companies.
And if the state decides they're all having a hard time, the state could cut that,
It's up to the state.
or tell them to do away with it.
Well, you remember,
Yeah, we don't have any control over that.
hey, that just flowed out easy for you, didn't it?
Yes, it does.
What was it, 4 years ago when they appealed the cap rate, public utilities, and you had to redo
Everything.
public utilities because they fought their cap rate. That could happen. And that happened pretty late in the year, didn't it? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, which you on a problem with that. All right, you guys have a good day.
Thanks. You the same.
All right, thank you.
Enjoy the quietness.
Okay, thanks.
Are you getting more work done that way?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot done.
We've got the minutes to approve real
I
quick.
make a motion to approve the minutes for the March 18th meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 18th meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. I do think we need to make it legal as to one of us going to these health meetings. What I would like to see, but this isn't gonna happen today, but to me, in a state emergency, the open meeting law should not apply if you're talking about health issues. But that's nothing we can do here, but I'm just telling you, I wonder if you guys would help me if that was something we pushed. And it's only common sense to me, but there's not a lot of common sense sometimes up there, but. And we are having a meeting tomorrow at noon. I've already attended a couple, but.
So, do we need a motion to designate the chairman as the point person in regards to the COVID-19?
Yes.
What would you call the meeting? Yeah. Do we need for the meetings or just the point person for the?
Just to attend the meeting.
Okay. I make a motion that we appoint Kirk Fairchild, the chairman, as our point person, contact person for the COVID-19 health meetings.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint me to be the point person to go to the COVID-19 health meetings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. And I will, the only way I can really tell you guys what's going on is to tell Nita and have her inform me.
Okay.
But at our county meeting, I could tell you anything.
Yeah.
So, I did have a good conversation with Carter yesterday about that. And if you want any information, I mean, it about blew up my phone, the information that he sent me on it.
Yeah.
That's if you want to read about the COVID-19, you can.
So, so I guess if you get it, the COVID-19, and you end up hospitalized, you about go on to a respirator?
Not
Because it's
necessarily.
I think it just depends on.
Each case is different.
Because I mean, it sounds like is there been a shortage of respirators in the United States?
Well, there's
Because it
been-
sounds
there
like
has
they're
been
needing lots of
In
them.
New York, there is.
The other thing, they use an anesthesia machine.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And, but what warrants the respirator is if your carbon dioxide levels go up because you're not exchanging, getting enough oxygen into your blood, and you have the severe lung infection. It's like the one professor from K-State had bilateral pneumonia. So his breathing was restricted, but at that point didn't require a ventilator because he was able to exchange on his own. So no, not everyone who gets COVID-19 is going to be on a respirator.
80% of them aren't even hospitalized.
And there was a 60-year-old lady who had asthma and COPD, was on a respirator. And my question on that, was she also a smoker?
My concern is, people are self-quarantining themselves. They sit at home all day and watch the TV. And they watch Fox and CNN and CBS, and they all tell you something a little different. And the panic just grows. These people get obsessed, and that's my concern about the whole thing.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was important that KDHE puts out as much information as they can, because if that's not reliable, I don't know what would be.
And I don't know why they was bucking a little bit against, you ought to tell how many tests there's been. That, it shows that there's not.
That one made me mad,
Yeah.
when they said we don't have the capacity. Now, if you're not keeping records, we're all in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Believe me, they know how many tests are in because they're gonna do billing for them.
I know. That was I had an awful time keeping.
They're not doing it for free.
No.
But it was on there the next day, so I think we did do some good. So,
Are you
Still
guys,
working on my COVID-19 leave policy, because there's been some changes to the FMLA Act to include that, so I'll bring it next week. I'm still tweaking it.
that is one thing that was Carter's biggest concern was the Family Leave Act. He said his employees at the hospital could go home.
But
And
our
they do first.
FMLA policy, before they can just go home, they have to exhaust all their leave. I mean, they can't just walk out on us.
Well, he was definitely concerned about that.
That's not how ours is.
They have 51 employees.
So they have to use up all their sick leave and
And
medical.
I think it's different if you have over 50 employees.
And there has to be certain
I think is what he was.
criteria.
Well, that is, we were faced with that with insurance.
Yeah, voluntary deal.
But we're still looking at it.
But he was concerned, that was another thing. he was
They've been
concerned.
doing some tweaking to the FMLA Act. It just came out Monday, so.
Again, I told him he just had to rely on the goodwill of his employees.
Exactly, and that's what we have to also. Some courthouses are testing their people before they come in every day. They're taking their temperature and stuff, and we're not getting into that game. It's the bigger counties that do that. I will tell you that I'm thinking about sending out advanced ballot applications for both the primary and the general, just do one mailing, because if this is still going on August 3rd, I don't know what I will do. I would probably move to one polling location, because the Secretary of State's office says we still have to plan to have the election as usual. Well, I know I can't get 12 people to sit at polling places, so I would probably move everybody here temporarily. I know.
There'll be a lot of changes between.
It will, but I'm gonna go ahead and send my letter out, try and get people to advance vote,
That'd be-
to hopefully get a leg up on it, but it'll cost me some postage, but I just want you guys to know that I'm gonna hopefully get those out. Probably not this week, but, because the election will still go on. So,
They'll probably come up with something from the state that it's all advanced ballots.
they've only told us they won't do that,
They won't do that? Why not?
because they don't have to.
Just say they have to.
Exactly. So we're all, I think almost every election official is gonna try to push advanced voting to the max this time.
All right. That's still.
But from what we were told, we still have to have a polling place on election day.
Yeah.
So I told Weber, we may be sitting over here by ourselves August 3rd, that we will have a polling place. So, anyway,
Okay.
that's the plan.
They will have an machine.
Yes.
Which we won't need very. Okay.
We'll still have them and use them, but it's gonna be different, but I'm gonna try to encourage advanced voting as much as I can.
that'd be in the primary?
I'm gonna send out applications for both, just in case.
Anything else?
Yeah, I do have some. I'd like to do a executive session or something with our county attorney and commissioners.
For attorney-client privilege?
Yeah, for attorney-client privilege.
How long?
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Then after that, we can adjourn. Won't be any action.
Okay, that's a motion.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session for attorney-client privilege for 10 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried.